Okay.
Hello everyone, I'm Cinay and welcome to this week's Technotalk. Here we discuss STEM-related topics with special guests to inform people and give them our perspective on modern concepts. Without further ado, let's greet our special guest of the week. Hello, Ms. Fauzia.
Hi, Cinay. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I am good. Thank you.
So first off, tell us a bit about yourself.
Well, my name is Fauzia Shah. I'm a licensed clinical social worker in Raleigh, Apex, Cary in North Carolina. Went to University of South Carolina, got my master's in social work, and I've been practicing since then. I've had a private practice for about 25 years, in which I did DWI, SAP, which is substance abuse outpatient, long-term, short-term. And I worked with children, adolescents, and adults doing family therapy, individual therapy. So that's basically my background. So I guess that's it.
Okay, well, very interesting,
And
by
I've
the
done
way. A
some
new,
teaching.
different area for me as well. So,
Yeah, and I've also done some teaching in my field. So yeah.
Cool. Okay, so let's discuss today's topic. The future of telemedicine and telehealth. Telehealth refers to the use of telecommunication and information technology to provide access to health diagnosis, consultation, and information across distance. Thus, telehealth can be considered a broader concept of telemedicine that includes technology used to collect and transmit patient data for the purposes of providing healthcare service. Telemedicine is a service that is rapidly evolving to provide increased access to high-quality healthcare that is efficient and cost-effective, especially in the midst of the current COVID pandemic. Telemedicine has steadily grown over the past decade, but the pandemic skyrocketed its adaptation, with telemedicine's rapid adaptation rate and managed costs setting the stage for a vastly different healthcare experience in the future. So to start with, how did the COVID pandemic affect healthcare services delivery?
Well, everything basically has changed in the US, and especially in my field, in mental health and medicine.
Yeah.
You know, we used to go and see patients either in our offices or in my current position, I go see people in facilities. And my population is elderly population. So we could not go in, so we had to use the telemedicine to do therapy and also, talk to families. And so most of the work started to rely on telemedicine, telehealth, telephone, FaceTime. We just could not enter the facilities because they had to shut it down. It was locked down. And so we ended up calling our patients, or sometimes the places where we were seeing patients, they would actually facilitate through FaceTime on their iPad. And so we were able to carry on, therapy process. We also, not only just me, but even the doctors that I work with are also doing telemedicine. So it has been very useful. Thank God that we have this tool. Otherwise, there would be no way.
Definitely.
We could not have done service delivery with our patients. And that was the biggest concern, but it was so good that everybody was open to telemedicine. And the biggest thing in the US is that Medicare actually controls what we do, how do we provide services. And so once they approved in the crisis situation, everybody kind of believed, and we were able to, do what we needed to do to help our population, the mental health population, and also the patients who were suffering from major medical illnesses. Now, I'm not talking about the ones that are in the hospital, but I'm talking about the ones that are in facilities or at home. So yes, thank God for telemedicine, and technology has been great.
Yeah, very clear explanation. Considering the new variant of coronavirus as well, this period will continue without full access to vaccine, and we have to adapt our work in response to the pandemic as much as possible. And with this whole medicine and treatment, having telemedicine as a tool is definitely a very good, efficient, let's say, tool for us. Like you as well.
Yeah, thank you.
By the way, why was this option not utilized before? What is your opinion on this?
Very good question, because, Medicare did not allow it to be reimbursed. So, obviously money is always the name of the game. And so when Medicare would not allow that, so we would not use it, we had to go and see people in person. That's why it was not utilized. Now, I was talking to one of my colleagues, Dr. Tripp, and he mentioned to me that in 2013, he had actually wrote a grant to have money enough to provide telemedicine to remote areas in North Carolina. We have different areas like the mountain areas where people cannot access medical care. And it did not get passed. So it just, at the time, they did not think that it was for medical purposes or for the mental health purposes. Traditionally, you're wanting to see the patient in person. You want to see what they look like, what kind of symptoms they're having. You want to look at their skin type, skin, like there's dryness on the skin. And as far as I'm concerned, I look at the affect, if the patient is nervous or they're fidgety, are they, biting their nails, or they're shaking their legs. So in person, but through Zoom or through other avenues, we were able to kind of set the cameras in such a way that we could actually see them fully. And therefore, our assessments, our evaluation, our treatment was effective. Now, I, just remember that there is a company that has been in existence for a few years ago. They have been doing telemedicine, but it's a very short-term telemedicine that I'm aware of. But as far as I know, COVID brought telemedicine to highlight.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
True. Great explanation. Yeah. There is no telling what medical advances will come next. And just the whole pandemic affected this whole global change to medicine in different fields of, let's say, different areas. And medicine being one that is hugely affected, we definitely see positive sides to this a lot. And also that improves the side for this as well. So totally, I agree with you. So yeah. Okay.
That's been great. Yeah.
Yeah.
So more, now we are seeing, interestingly enough, if you go on any kind of job sites or recruiters, they are looking for LCSWs, somebody like myself, LCSWs. And most of the jobs are all remote, all telehealth. I mean, it's amazing how that has become the future of service delivery in healthcare.
So it just opened a new window of exploration also.
I would have never, if somebody had told me this 2 years ago, I would have said, let's dream on. It would never happen. And it's happening, and it's happening in a great way. So I'm kind of glad. I'm kind of happy that we are, that our country was able to go with the change, was accommodating and facilitating. I just felt like, that was really the right way to do. And we did that. So I'm very proud of our healthcare and Medicare. I really want to thank Medicare. If they ever watch this video, I want to thank them. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. Another question is that, has telemedicine been effective in treating patients with medical, psychological, and emotional problems during this whole period?
Yes. I mean, that's exactly the whole point. When COVID hit, the most affected population that I know was the elderly population. That's the population that I work with. And so these population are living in assisted living, they're living in independent and in memory care. And some of them have apartments and some of them have rooms. So they are like in a room, and some are in an apartment with a 1-bedroom apartment or a 2-bedroom apartment. But with the COVID, they were not allowed to come outside of their rooms or their apartments. There was total lockdown. And you can just imagine and then the staff was quitting. So a lot of people were afraid that they were going to get it because the population that they were saying COVID was affecting was, or attacking was the elderly. So they could not come out of their rooms, they could not come out of their apartments, and all of a sudden they could not see their families. So there was a lot of depression, there was a lot of anxiety, a lot of adjustment disorders. How do we cope with this? And and that's why therapy was very important. That's why telemedicine was the best thing that could have ever happened. We were able to talk to them and say, hey, look, what did you do today? Did you shower? Did you get up? Did you change your clothes? And that was not also happening. So, through the telemedicine, we were able to provide therapy and able to provide them motivation, able to let them know that there's somebody there that they can actually see. They could do the same thing with their families as well. But, family visits is on a different scale versus what we were doing. So we were able to do a lot of individual therapy. We would also talk to the staff. In some cases, we were talking to the family over the phone. So it was a very busy and a very difficult time, even for us, to watch our patients go through this thing when they had come to the end of their life, basically, so to speak, and they were looking forward to, now having activities and getting up and, going to dinners, going to lunches, breakfasts, and social, and spending time with their grandchildren, with their families. And all of a sudden, that was not happening. All of a sudden, they couldn't even get out of their rooms. So, so in this case, therapy was extremely important. And I was so glad that our system realized that this pandemic required mental health and medical services, that they could not be interrupted. And so, so I did individual therapy, or not just I really want to talk about the entire profession. We were all doing individual therapy. We were doing family counseling on one side. We were dealing with staff who was also having a hard time. And, some of our patients died from COVID. Some of them ended up in the hospital. So again, it's been a very rough time for people in healthcare industry. It's been a very tough period, and we're just grateful that we have technology now to reach our population.
Well, I've never looked at it from that point of view. And I see that there's so many factors that goes into this area. And with this whole situation, even more had come to the whole systems. And there's very importance in this area as well, because a human's well-being kind of changes everything of what he's doing or what she's doing. So that's very effective to think about and to add into this whole telemedicine network that has been created.
Right. And, a lot of them are from the generation that they're not used to technology of this sort. So, that was something to get used to. There was just a lot of adjustments altogether that we had to make, they had to make. But depression was just rapid. We are seeing depression even among the caregivers, like the providers, like the mental health professionals. We are seeing depression even with our medical providers, because obviously, it affects all of us when we see people who are not able to cope with such a huge pandemic that is affecting every single being on the planet, so to speak. I don't know about the birds but I think they've also found some dogs and cats have gotten COVID. So we don't know the extent of this COVID, but it's pretty big as far as we are concerned, right?
Yeah. Also, how do you, as a licensed clinical social worker, see the future of the telehealth, telemedicine in the industry?
Oh, it's going to stay. We think that this is going to be the new way from here on. More and more people are going to, not just more and more people, I think it's going to become one of the options, if you choose to go and see someone in the office. But even then, for example, one of the biggest points that I make is that when I go see someone in person, I have a mask on. So they really cannot see me. Right? And they have a mask on. I cannot really see them. And it's in therapy, especially, and even with the medical doctors, it's very important that we're able to see the face. We want to see what kind of affect they have, So this is one way that we don't have to have a mask and we can see each other fully. And that way we can best use of a therapeutic process without all these things that we need to have to protect us and others from COVID. So telemedicine is going to be here for a long time. I just don't see, because as COVID is not something that's going away, as you can see. I think there was news about Brazil today, and there's news about us also being number 2 in the world with the highest rate. So I don't know if this is going to change or not. I mean, certainly that would be the experts who could comment on that. I can talk about mental health and substance abuse and how I see where this is going. And as long as the COVID is a threat, and as long as we have to wear masks, I think this is going to be a much better option. Definitely. And then the people don't have to leave their apartments to go see someone. They don't need to get transportation. They can just sit in their home and do this, have therapy bring to them. So yeah, no, I think that's where it's going. And like I mentioned earlier, that we are, all the jobs now are all telehealth.
Yeah.
Telebased. Telebased. I mean, and it's interesting how so easily in just a year, people have embraced this and said, okay, this is not so bad. Wish we had it before, but we got it now. So that's good.
I like that perspective. Like this technology will bring novel technological improvements soon and it just goes with domino effects, and it affects one and affects other. So seeing this as an advantage is so crucial, because to not get caught up in other things and always looking to forward and trying to improve. And the factors that you counted are like to see a person face to face without a mask, and this whole like medical features and factors are really important to add also to this whole situation. And also with this whole let's say technology, now things are rapidly doing itself, and like rapidly kind of with appointments, rapid diagnosis, and it's also bringing a new efficient care to this whole medicine perspective. So to look at it from that perspective, it's really a crucial equipment as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And, if you cannot see somebody's face, you really cannot make a good connection with them, because there's that barrier. We call it a barrier. I call it a barrier. It's a barrier between a connection. And, recently I've started taking my mask off because I've been vaccinated. Excuse me, I've been vaccinated twice, and most of my patients have been vaccinated twice. And so when I'm sitting in there with them, excuse me, I'm able to take my mask off sometimes, not all the time. But, I get this comment from my patients, oh, it's so good to see your face. Now I know what you look like. And these are people that I started seeing after COVID. So these were new patients that had never seen me without. And some will say, can you please take that mask down so I know what you look like? So this has been great in that sense, that they can see my expressions.
Mm-hmm.
And therapy is one thing in which the most important thing that we as professionals in mental health do is empathy.
Yeah.
And empathy is something that has to be communicated in some form. It's either through facial expressions or your body language, and the patient needs to see that, or the client needs to see that my therapist is listening and is aware of how I'm feeling, or they at least can relate, or not even relate, but they can actually feel my pain. Okay, they can put themselves in my shoes and feel my pain. And so I just think that not having this anymore, I mean, at one time I was going into facilities, and you're not going to believe, I mean, I had the whole hazmat. I mean, I was like, my cap thing and my shield and my gloves and my gown, and I was walking in, and I thought to myself, my God, I'm here to do therapy. I'm supposed to be very calm and comfortable and at ease, and here I'm sitting like that. But it was okay, because my clients, they all understood. They understand that these are different times, and changes are coming more so. I have some clients who are very techno savvy. And so for them, I mean, like top notch. And then there's people like me who really are not techno savvy. So, but I see the benefit of it. Okay. So, I mean, I'm so glad this is happening. And, I must say, and I don't want to be repeating myself, but one of the things that we tend to do, we help people with coping skills, cognitive skills, and self-reflection. And it just depends on what the issues are. But at the end of the day, it is really what you bring to the client. It's the use of self and how you relate. How do you have a conversation with someone, rather than, I'm an authority and you are somebody who has a problem, because all of us have a problem, not just, each one of us have problems of our own. It's just that somebody has come to you because you specialize in something and they're asking. So it's in the COVID, and the point I'm trying to make is that during COVID, it was more important that we had an avenue in which people could feel some kind of a connection. Amazingly, when I had my clients, on my patients, I should say, on FaceTime or on Zoom, they were blowing kisses. They were blowing kisses at me like goodbye. They liked it. They felt
it's a
that
very new approach to things. So
they were able to see the person completely, and how they were reacting, what they're facing. In therapy, both are actually evaluating each other.
Yeah. True.
Yeah, the client is looking at you too, and you're looking at the client, and
it's both ways.
It's with both ways. It's establishing a rapport. It's establishing a connection. And it was very hard to do that with a mask and with a shield and with all that stuff. But initially, that's what we had. And then when Medicare came and said, it's okay. And I think that our legislators and the representatives and all those senators, they all really pushed for that. And I'm so grateful to them for making this happen for us. So I'm talking too much, aren't I?
No, it's totally fine.
Normally I'm the one who's very quiet. I'm the one who's listening.
Yeah. So do you think, we kind of explained this also, but do you think that telemedicine is here to stay and will it be used globally? Well,
I pretty much think so, because I'm going to share something with you. The reason it is going to be shared globally is because I'm in the midst of negotiating a contract for telemedicine. And one of the things that I have asked them is that I will be doing that from Turkey.
Oh.
So I'll be going, yeah, because you know I have a home there, right?
Yeah.
So I'll be going to, yeah. So I'm going to be in Akbuk, and I'll be doing telemedicine from there to my patients here. And that's global.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
you see some examples, and that's a really cool example, because now that this telemedicine concept has formed, there's no boundary with like the mile limit or the, let's say, limit of transportation. With online diagnosing, now there's like no limits to this whole procedure. So
yeah, you don't have to, the only thing you definitely need to make sure you have is the internet, and you need to have a computer. But your car breaks down, you're out of luck. And then you're calling the patient and saying, oh my God, Now, obviously, if the lights go on and there's a storm or something, patients will know that, or the clients will know that something like that has happened. But if I'm in Turkey, the time difference is going to be very helpful to me in that sense, that I can start my sessions 4 o'clock Turkish time and go till about midnight there. Yes. So globally, yes, it is going to be, it's okay. I can go anywhere in the world now and do therapy with my patients that are clients that live here in North Carolina, because that's where I'm licensed. I'm licensed in Colorado as well, but I have that license. It's inactive right now. I've kept it inactive. So, right.
Yeah. I also consider that like new and advanced technological concepts are definitely going to play a huge part in medicine. And this is just the start of all of the things awaiting us.
Yes. Yeah.
Imagine,
did we ever, I mean, I've been doing this for such a long time. I mean, it just blows my mind that I'm able to reach my patients on camera and have a session with them. And it feels good that you can still make a difference in somebody's life.
So true.
It's technology in that sense has been great, because we have been allowed to take,
different actions to the whole,
yeah, exactly.
Well, that was another informative discussion. Thank you again so much to Ms. Fauzia for joining us this week. It was so great to talk to you.
Absolutely. We'll do some more.
Yeah, definitely.
We'll do some more specific things. We'll talk
for different areas.
Different areas and all that. Thank you so much, and I really loved it. Thank you.
Yeah, me too. So, dear viewers, don't forget to keep up with our posts and additional events on our page, Technotalks, and YouTube channel. And if you haven't watched last week's video, please go check it out. See you next week with another interesting tech topic. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.